Okay, we're live. So I guess intros. This is Therax doing another cast. I've got Giggity Goo with me as a co-caster today.
All right.
And we have a Division A match here between, let's try to pronounce it, Gatos Galactophorius Galactophagus. And I'm going to call them GGG or Triple G or Gatos team. Because I'm not saying that over and over again in the cast with any ability of speed or correct pronunciation. And our second team is Clutch. So it's Division A, but these are two teams that are toward the lower end of the division. Gatto's team is 89 points, sitting in 5th place after 3 matches played. And Clutch also has 3 matches played. They've got 54 points, which is putting them into 6th place. So they're not really challenging for top of the division at this point. Like even a miracle would not bring them there. But we're starting off, so I need to switch that overlay over to the other one. Okay. And we're starting off with a 1v1. It's Trial Mechs, Kid Foxes, little duel on this, I don't know, what do you call it, Nintendo 64 map.
Yeah, kind of underdeveloped test map here.
Yeah, it's an interesting map to be using. It doesn't look like a normal map, but it's got a nice mix of cover, some hills, good fighting terrain. These Kid Foxes are brawling though because they're both SRM. Interesting thing is that with the ignore enhancements off, they don't have their armor bonuses or any other quirks, so those arms are very fragile. They're missing 20 armor off of those arms that would have been there had the quirks actually been active. Players are getting the initial spot here. I believe both of them have seen each other. So now it's just about dictating where you want the engagement to occur, as you don't really have any advantage in range or anything of that nature. So find the terrain that allows you to get the first shot and go to town. And we have some weapons
first
fire.
volley going out.
No one has been hit yet. I'm not even sure they're in range. Those SRMs look like they exploded just in front of the Mech Warrior named player. Again, another volley, no damage.
They're just barely staying out of each other's range.
Yeah.
Within a few meters of being in each other's range, shooting shots that can't possibly hit.
Now, is there a concern about ammunition on this duel? I expect they have enough, but there we go. There's some damage.
I wouldn't expect any sort of ammo concerns. They have over, I believe, 500 shot darting. All you have to do is kill a Kid Fox with it.
Yeah, and there's no extra armor on these, so yeah, we have now they're brawling. They've quit doing this Pop-Tart range trade outside of range, and now we have a complete fight here. Oh, leg has come off on Colonel David Renard, and that's it. Clean leg kill. That did not take long once they actually decided to fight.
It went pretty quick. Once you get these 4 Serm 6 already right up on top with that Artemis, it makes it pretty easy to focus your damage. Looks like both of them coming in. Mech Warrior 414 coming in with 99 damage. Colonel David Renard coming in with 61. This looked like more shots landed on target. More accurate fire.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interesting that they went for legs there. I thought that maybe blowing arms off was the way to do that fight, but obviously I learned something. So Gatto's team picks up the first 2 points.
Double check next map. I believe is Boreal. There we go, Boreal. Yep, Clan Medium and Clan Light on Boreal. Ignore enhancements is off.
Yeah, 99 damage for the win there with 2 components destroyed versus 61 damage. That's basically the difference of 1 volley. So, 99 damage for a kill. That's pretty accurate shooting.
It's pretty efficient. I've seen people doing these go for all over. I don't think there is any particular best way to go, be it going for arms, side torso, CT, legs. I've seen all of the different types of, I guess, tactics with that work just as well as any other.
Okay, so I guess sets the stage for the next fight. It's a 2v2. We're going to Boreal Reach, and we've got lights and mediums. So each team has one light, one medium. And I mean, I'm expecting brawling. Boreal Reach is a map that can be played as range. Out of the Solaris pool, this is probably the most ranged map in the pool. But when you've got one light, one medium, I don't think anyone's going to be sitting back and plinking away. I could be proved wrong, though. Could end up seeing something like an AC5, Hunchback, 2C, and an Incubus, for instance, as a pair of ranged mechs. But I think that maybe we're going to see... Well, I don't know. Div E pilots might go for Pop-Tart fighting. Hunchback 2C with ERPPCs and Small Pulse Laser backup, paired up with a Cougar? I mean, that's decent range firepower while also having the ability to shut down a Brawl Rush. Maybe it won't be Kifox and Stormcrow Rush or something of that nature, but we'll see what these players are deciding. Team 1 is... Well, they're readied up but not locked, and they're sitting at 90 tons. And now they are locked. So 90 tons, that would indicate to me that they are bringing a 55 tonner plus a 35 tonner. There's a few different options there. Stormcrow, Vapor Eagle, and Black Lantern, I believe, are the options for 55 tons. And then at 35, you've got a Jenner 2C, an Adder, and the Cougar, I believe, are all 35 tons.
Correct.
So Team 2 is locking in at 85. So there's a few more variations there that they could have with their choices there.
We are launching. I'd be curious if one of these teams does range. It's a bit of a kind of rock, paper, scissors gamble. If you run some sort of PPCs or long range DPS, you run a huge risk of something like a Black Lantern and a Mistlinks just running up on you and shutting you down before you can do any work.
I had an incorrect title there.
Go!
I forgot to change one little thing. And I messed up the change order on that, so...
Eliminate all enemies, no matter the cost.
Well, we are in.
Okay. Okay, title's now correct, and we're getting to spectating the next match here. That messes up the VOD, though, so... Yeah. Okay, they're brawling. Here we go. What is this, a Black Lantern? Trying to get the build. Small Pulse ER Micro paired up with that Jenner SRM6, SRM2. And on opposing side, we have a Jenner with just mass SRM6. And we do have the range option here. Huntsman, trying to get that build. Can't click on the dang thing.
4 LB2s.
Okay. So, Jenner's closed in on that Huntsman. Huntsman legs are already getting beat up, but the Black Lantern's taking return damage. Huntsman is legged. How's that Black Lantern doing? Black Lantern spreading damage well. Looks like it was going for torsos. And Huntsman is trying to shield. Jenner does get the kill here, though. Jenner took some damage as well. Side torsos open in the rear. I don't think that's heat damage. But, yeah, Fork the Spoonwrecker survives. Very quick, very clean. That was a rear kill on Redneck Geek. And, I mean, there's significant damage to the Black Lantern and the Jenner, but clean 2-0 win there. That was very, very fast.
That was pretty quick, and that was exactly what I was concerned about, with sticking some sort of range DPS something up there up top. The map seems long, but it's really not too terribly long to get something quick from one side to the other.
Yeah.
These high DPS mechs just don't have the time to do the work they need to do in order to really justify it against the brawlier mech.
Okay, I mean, I almost missed that fight because I was busy dealing with that stream issue. Glad I made it back in time. So we've got another win here for Gatto's team. The Galactophorius Galactophages picking up another win in the 2v2. No kills returned, so I've got them marked down as 8 points to the 0 points so far on the side of Clutch. And we're going to move on to the next drop right shortly here. It's the second of the two 2v2s.
Looks like it is Test Map A, Clan Assault, and Clan Medium.
Yeah, Assault Medium. It's an interesting combination because the Assaults bring enough firepower to just about one-shot a medium mech, so the choice of medium, you don't want to take something that's going to take return fire, in my mind. So I favor the use of Pop-Tart mediums on this drop because of the Assault mech. I wouldn't want to be rushing in to brawl with the medium, but I've seen some teams do different things, so be a little bit interesting. I mean, I barely caught it, but there was a Div E match that was streamed yesterday. I didn't have the chance to rewatch it yet, but I believe there was a Highlander on the outside of the map doing something, or was it a Blood Asp maybe?
Oh, it was a Blood Asp. I think it was, what, EQ versus 5JDX, if I remember right?
Yeah.
They threw a Blood Asp and a Shadow Cat up on the exterior rim surrounding the wall.
Yeah.
Gall and Gador are locked.
Okay, I'm gonna get this. Let's get over there.
It was an interesting strat. I didn't know. I don't think anyone really knew that you could actually get up on this outside rim around this map.
My question is how many jump jets that Blood Asp has, as you can put jump jets in the leg of the Blood Asp with that addition of the Blood Asp E, and then you can also have jump jets in the side torso and center torso of the A variant, I believe, for the Blood Asp.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It had to be quite a few.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can actually run like 7 jump jets on that mech or not. There might be a mech lab limitation there. I haven't checked myself, but yeah. Okay, so we've got Pop-Tart here, Highlander 2CA with 4 ERPPC out of Gas Guzzler. Legal is running the rival, that would be the Mask Hero Veagle, or Vapor Eagle, has 2 ERPPCs and 3 heavy machine guns, so a little bit more mobility, ability to flank there out of that hero variant of the Vapor Eagle, but the mounts are less ideal for Pop-Tarting. And it's up against a mid-range Vomit. Hunchback 2CA actually only has 4 ER Mead, 2 large pulse, so that's not even the maximum pulse, maximum burst variant. And they paired that up with an Executioner Prime, which is mid-range Vomit as well. 2 large pulse, 6 ER Mead, and 6 ER Micro. Early damage coming out on both sides. Everyone appears to have scouted out. Now, where's that Highlander? I'm not seeing it at the moment. There it is. Highlander's way in the back, out in the open, not really going to be Pop-Tarting, but that's going to be hard to trade against, and that's too far away to push, so not bad positioning. Hasn't gone up high, though. Just a little bit early damage coming out. Highlander's taking the brunt of it, but that armor is heavily worked on that mech. Should be quite capable of taking damage. Hunchback has an open arm. There's nothing in there, maybe not even heat sinks.
I'm a bit curious why they're not pushing up. It looks like maybe they are starting to now, but they see that the enemy has, Gatos team sees that Clutch has these Giga Range builds, and looks like the action's starting to kick off here.
Yeah, that Highlander has lost an arm. Again, nothing in there except perhaps heat sinks, but it's also taken some rear damage. Now the side torso is open. That Highlander's at 49%, but there was a big hit returned on the Hunchback 2CA, which has an open side torso now. Vapor Eagle is getting into machine gun range, trying to draw fire off of their buddy, gets the side torso off of the Hunchback 2CA, but probably wants to get out now as that Executioner does outgun that Vapor Eagle in that range bracket. Highlander's repositioned for the high ground, continuing to get back in the fight. Oh, Executioner from Gadolinium is open center torso now. Significant damage on both sides.
Looks like the Vapor Eagle got legged, so he's kind of stuck there at this point.
No. Highlander's almost cooked itself. So yeah, Vapor Eagle's legs, so that mask is no longer useful, and that is not the range that I'd want my ERPPC Pop-Tart mech to be at. But this Highlander's maybe got the angle covered. Just how much heat damage is taken is shocking to me, but it's getting an opportunity to cool down now. Maybe another cool shot's priming up if they did bring a second. And yeah, Gadolinium's team is taking this slow. They're not rushing that kill at all, giving that Highlander plenty of time to cool down. As we see a potential corner peek coming up here. Highlander has not got the angle. This would be the opportunity. And there's a UAV up in the favor of Gato's team as well, I do believe. There we go. Big hit onto the Hunchback 2CA, and the Vapor Eagle has not gone down yet. So this Hunchback is one touch pretty much from those ERPPCs. The rival has nothing open besides that missing leg. Getting
Rival's
up on
doing
top
the
of the
smart
box.
thing, going up top.
Yeah, UAV is now down, so Sky Rangers or Gato's team's no longer going to have that opportunity to get the intel from that. Highlanders execution is one touch center torso now. I'm favoring Clutch's position in this, which I mean, considering how it played out and how wounded everyone is, but Vapor Eagle on top of the box with that executioner one touch, like the machine guns could probably burst that down in 1 or 2 seconds.
I think that was a good call for him to go up top there. All of his weapons are in his arms, whereas the Hunchback, everything's in his torsos.
Oh,
But he
Vapor
needs to be a
Eagle
little
lost
more
the machine.
careful
Oh,
with his trades, and he's going in.
yeah, lost
down
the
he goes.
ERPPCs to a good shot from the executioner. So now, oh, that Hunchback is a stiff breeze from dead. Executioner is not much better. It's all about whether or not this Highlander can hit the next shot.
I'm not wholly certain that Gatto's team knows where the Highlander is. They've seen him when they did those brief trades against the Beagle, but at this point,
Yeah.
I don't know that they would have eyes on him to even know where to poke.
I mean, Gadolinium and Apostle Burke are basically just hugging this cover and praying. I don't know. Highlander's not going to face check this. They're not. These are Div A pilots. They're not going to make a rookie move like that. This could take a little bit of time to play out there, but 4.5 minutes. Highlander's got plenty of opportunities to just continue this rotation that they are on. Lots of time remaining.
I wonder if that's what Gatto's team is holding out for. I wonder if they're almost angling just to stay in cover, stay down, and wind up taking almost a tie. They have already killed a mech, so they've gotten the 2 points.
Yeah.
So if they just sit here and play Ring Around the Rosie for the next 4.5 minutes, they'll wind up coming up top with this rather than risking losing one of them, possibly both of them.
Yeah, 2 points for the kill plus 2 points for winning the drop, which, as they have a kill lead, they would be the winners of this drop if it ended at the current situation. And another thing here with Gas Guzzler, that Highlander 2CA has a quirk, a heat scale limit quirk, so you can fire 3 ERPPCs together without getting ghost heat. But if they were to accidentally fire all 4 ERPPCs, I think the ghost heat would kill this Highlander 2CA. It's sitting at 29%. That is not a lot of structure remaining. And a lot of it is going to be in those legs and that arm. So a little bit of heat damage and that Highlander 2CA goes down. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination, despite how passive both these teams are playing. I mean, they're like just pure hiding out of Gadolinium's team here.
Yeah, it's definitely not over. The Highlander moving up there, I don't know that I would have done that because from where he was off in Zimbabwe, he had the range advantage.
Ooh.
Oh, there he goes.
Yep, Gadolinium, the lasers travel a little bit faster than those ERPPCs. Also looks like the PPCs hit side torso, and the lasers got that kill there on the Highlander right through the center torso. Well, there we have it. A lot of damage, a lot of hurt mechs, but in the end, it's a 2-0 win.
Looks like Gatto came in there with the big farm in his Exy, doing 700 some odd damage.
Yeah, 700 damage on that. That's a lot of damage in this particular drop. The Highlander 2CA has a lot of armor, so that's probably where most of that damage went. But I think there was also a lot of heat damage on that Highlander. Damage on the opposing team, not bad either. 460, 420. So the Vapor Eagle actually, I didn't see any strikes. I can't recall any at least. So that's a lot of weapons fire out of that, or maybe machine gun fire out of that Vapor Eagle to put out that kind of damage before it went down.
I don't think Clutch put a strike on Gatto's team, but I know Gatto put one on them. Close to the beginning, they dropped one on a Highlander before the real engagement had kicked off.
All right. We're going on to the 5v5 portion of this match next, and that would be kicking things off on Crimson Straight. So it's a 200-ton drop limit, clan mechs only, 5 players on each team, 200 tons divided by 5, 40 tons each. Now, in the lower divisions, that means that everybody just takes an Arctic Wolf or Viper, and we go and brawl in the middle. Higher divisions, maybe we'll see a little bit more complexity. Maybe we'll see... I've seen heavies in this drop before, at least from like middle division teams. Div E, maybe they're going to play Shadow Cats or Vapor Eagles, Hunchback 2CA. You drop one of your, one of those hypothetical 40-ton mediums down to 25-ton light, like the Mist Lynx, or even a 30-ton light with like the Incubus, and all of a sudden you start to get tonnage available to move one of your other mechs up.
There's just a whole bunch of different strats here. Both teams have good sight lines from their own version of Zimbabwe, Charlie 8 and Fox 8, up on the hills to look down towards Theta if they care about the cap. They can run all sorts of ER large stuff, single mech, something like that, to be able to control the cap if they want to play a cap and force the other team to push type strategy. Of course, there's just yeet right in type brawl, like you were saying, Arctic Wolves, Vipers. There's quite a few different things that can be done even with that 200-ton limit.
Yeah, they don't have to brawl. Like there was a drop that I was casting. It had making a change here. They were kiting with Vipers, ERME light machine gun Vipers, just a whole bunch of those. I think they're running 4 of those, and then one Arctic Wolf with streaks or something. But that was on Tourmaline Desert. Tourmaline Desert's a little bit more open around the Theta cap than the Theta cap on Crimson Strait, because we're playing 1 cap Conquest here with just the Theta cap active on this particular map, and the Theta cap itself is in the open with water around it, a fair bit of water. It's maybe 400 meters, 300 meters of mostly open terrain. Some slight hills that do protect the legs a little, but there's a bunch of buildings, low-lying buildings nearby that give excellent cover for a team that, is trying to brawl. So that'd be hard to try and kite a team through or around. So I don't know if kiting's an option here, like a mass kiting deck.
It would be a pretty serious gamble, given that it is 200 tons and you do run the risk of just running into 4 Vipers and an Arctic Wolf.
Yeah.
There's not really a whole lot that you can get kite-wise that'll actually be able to outrun anything. It could devolve into some sort of water type thing, but even then you still have to think Theta's out there. Once you get Theta, that's it. You can control, you can sit back, and especially if you have the things like ER mediums versus your opponent's brawl weaponry, then you can just sit back and hold Theta forever.
Yeah, and there is a lot of time, though. It is a 12-minute timer on the match, so it takes, 2.5, 3 minutes to actually get to Theta from the spawns, even running at Viper speeds. So, but you can give up that cap. You still have, 8-ish minutes to whittle your opponents, maybe more like 7 minutes to whittle your opponents to death with your range ERME light machine gun Vipers, if that's something you're bringing. And then when you finally have the kills, you can go try and take all the other caps. You have to have time to flip Theta with one of your mechs and enough survivors to also start sprinting across to the far side of the map, try and get another 2-3 cap points, taking your favor to get that cap lead back before the timer ends, but it'd be risky just because the caps are so spread out on this map. It might be doable. Takes a fair bit of skill to execute that type of a strat, though.
Yeah, it takes a fair bit of skill and luck. It can be a little bit RNG if you're trying something like that, and the enemy just brings straight up face brawl with their Vipers and Arctic Wolves, and they're able just to get in on you. They just catch you at the right angle, the right position, where you have nowhere to go, and you're out DPS'd tenfold.
And that's why it looked so great on Tourmaline Desert, but I don't think Crimson Strait, I don't think it's nearly as possible to pull it off on Crimson Strait. Possible, maybe. Probable, no. It's too high risk for something that I would be looking to do on this map. I'm Tourmaline Desert maybe is the only map where it would have been possible, just given the nature of the one cap and the theta location and all of that. I'm excited to see what Div A does in this. I know what the other divisions do. But Div A is maybe a little bit more brawly now than it used to be a couple years back. The meta in MechWarrior Online has shifted. Red lasers are just so powerful right now, and machine guns were powerful for the past 2-3 years, is it? They've actually...
Yeah, I think it's definitely shifted to where that's more the meta. You know, I've seen some teams like EQ and 5JDX, I believe it was EQ that did a kind of mild hold strat. They brought Lerms and some sort of Stormcrow with ER large on it, with the intention of sitting back in Charlie 8, taking the cap, holding the cap, and just forcing the opponents to run into them.
Yeah.
So there is some flavor of hold strat without it being an actual complete, big type mech hold.
Range is always going to be good in any first-person shooter, but the balance in MechWarrior Online between range and brawl has changed significantly from, pre-Cauldron era, where the brawlers have a much more significant advantage once they are in range. It's just the difficulty of actually getting into range. There's significant reward if you can pull it off. Well, we have a lock out of Team 1. Team 2's green board, but they haven't indicated they're locked yet. There we go. Looks like we're ready to get underway here.
And here we go.
How are we doing? Okay, loading in. I'm going to be looking at the Gatto's team. Yeah, I'm just going to call him Gatto's team. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the blue team here coming in. We've got an Incubus 2, ER large light machine gun, so that is a range kiting mech. ER large, not heavy large. Heavy large is maybe a bit more meta. Vapor Eagle with 3 AC5s, 1 ER PPC. That is interesting to me. And then a Viper with standard machine gun, 3 small pulse, Jenner with SRM bombing, and another Viper with 5 small pulse and machine guns. Now, one of those Vipers only had 3 small pulse, the other has 5. What is up with that? Alright, you want to run through Clutch?
Coming over here at Clutch, it is full brawl. Vipers with heavy machine guns and small pulse, and Arctic Wolves with all the splat in the world.
Yeah, so we do have Brawl versus some range Overwatch. Be interesting to see how this plays out.
Looks like Fork in this Incubus is out here in the water. He has spotted Clutch. He's keeping an eye on him. He sees where they're going, calling it out to his team, presumably. And it looks like Clutch is just yeeting right over the saddle, heading at least in the direction of Theta. They're looking for a brawl.
Yeah, ER large fire coming out. A little bit of damage taken onto Gas Guzzler's Viper. It's splashed everywhere, but they do now know that there is a range ER large mech on the island. The island being the opposite side of the map than the active Theta cap point. Vipers continuing to walk towards it. They are completely unsupported. Apostle Burke, oh no.
Oh, this is bad.
Did nobody communicate to them? Like,
Oh, he sees it. He's running.
and
He
this Jenner
figures
looks slow
figured
to
it out.
me.
Target spotted.
Only doing 120 kph. The Vipers are going to be faster than that. Are they going to get cut off here? They should. I don't think there's any way that this mech should be getting out of here. I'm seeing one dead mech on the field. Is there going to be any return damage coming with any meaning? Gadolinium's here, trying to back him up, thinking better, starting to back up. Also, Burke almost legged. 58%, both legs open. 40%, no legs off yet. 35 and dead. And meanwhile, there's a mech over the island. It's now a 5v3 fight incoming here. The Vapor Eagle's too slow to run away, and once you're down 2 mechs, like, what is there left? There's almost no damage returned to Clutch's pilots right now. Legal is the lowest player at 82% here for Clutch's pilots. Legs are weak but not open. And here the Vapor Eagle's going to have a party on top of their face.
Oh no. Oh, it's a boot party.
Oh, the Vipers jumped over, did not manage to hit their jump, but the Vapor Eagle has fallen. Okay, Incubus has made it to the fight. It's now 5v4. And nobody's looking at that Vapor Eagle anymore. The Vapor Eagle is now getting some damage out. My camera's bugged, or...
He's not. Clutch has smartly gone behind these buildings, and they're just playing ring around the rosy with this Vapor Eagle, just completely ignoring him while they take out Gatto's DPS.
Yeah.
Gatto's down, and I mean there's no coming back from this. That's it. Clutch just all pushed their way in and kicked
whether or not
deep.
there are going to be kills picked up. There is a leg mech. David Renard is legged at 54%, but the Vapor Eagle's down. Last pilot up is that Incubus. Oh no, they're legged. This is... wow. So, Gatto's team got the scout, but their one mech continued to run toward the cap point. They knew the mechs were crossing the saddle. I don't understand why there wasn't a recall order issued to the slow Jenner that was going for the cap point.
I have no idea. Fork must have been speaking Russian. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know if he didn't call it out that they were all pushing saddle. I don't know if they thought the timing was different. If they thought that the Jenner could get there min cap and get out before all these Vipers pushed themselves over the saddle and got to him. I'm not sure where the thought was on that one.
Like, Gatto's team definitely put in the work here in terms of making a strat where they got the early intel and they had multiple Overwatch positions set up, but just a serious in-drop miscalculation here, and it's 5-0 in the favor of Clutch.
I'm expecting to see some pretty low damage numbers coming out of Gatto's team over here. They just got absolutely kicked in the face there.
I think they'd want to have that one back. I'm not convinced that the strat was good, but the execution is where this was where this went completely one-sided in my mind.
What were they running on that Vapor Eagle? Do you remember?
3 AC5s, 1 ERPPC. So that would be a slow engine to fit all of that weaponry, and it'd have kind of a good sustained DPS with a decent amount of range burst as well. Interesting build, not meta. How did it do damage-wise?
Did pretty decent. Came in the 300s, so it got some damage out for sure.
It kind of got ignored as well in that middle of the fight. Yeah, 375, got it up on my screen now. Highest damage on the team, but I mean, the rest of the damage numbers just kind of tell you this story. And yeah, I thought that they should be shooting, Clutch should have been focusing the Vapor Eagle. They did appear to correctly assess that they should be taking out the DPS mechs first and going after those Vipers. Very low damage on both those Vipers.
Yeah, running the AC5s in a peep like that, it has some DPS, but it doesn't have, when you're in, 100 meters tops, it doesn't have the DPS. It's not the threat that things like Vipers are, for instance. So I think Clutch was correct in just ignoring it while they had other targets there that had higher DPS, and eventually circling back to it. And they were able to, kind of in the latter half of that little brawl there, they were able to essentially just cut it off and pie it off from the rest of them, and they didn't have to worry about it.
The reasons I was concerned about the strategy of ignoring the Vapor Eagle is because as that non-meta build, it would have good sustained DPS out of those AC5s, and also that pinpoint damage. That's a 25-point pinpoint damage against a light mech. If you're hitting like, or well, mediums in the case of Arctic Wolf, feels like a light, but if you're hitting a single component, that doesn't take a lot of hits with good aim to blow out something and either get a leg or a torso. But it worked out.
That is true, but you really need the range to make that work when you're going up against Vipers and things like that. Otherwise, the DPS will just drag you down, essentially. There's just no way that you'll be able to keep your shots on target enough to make it work when you have multiple Vipers, Arctic Wolves, things like that around you.
And I guess that 25 damage pinpoint isn't enough to even blow out no armor rear side torso of an Arctic Wolf. The structure on that is going to be somewhere around, 30 to 35, depending on quirks and skills. I guess you could tank even a back shot. Alright, well, we're moving on to the next map. Next drop, it's going to be Rubelite Oasis. It is 300-ton limit, again, 5v5, clan mechs only, and they're playing off on a side cap. You think we're going to have time to pull up the map here, maybe? Let's give it a try.
Possibly. There's only a couple people readied up for Gatto's team.
Yeah, where do I have that map room? There it is. Okay, let's put the map on the screen. Now, if I remember correctly, I'm looking it up because I don't think I remember correctly. It is Epsilon. Epsilon cap is the active cap point. I knew it was one of the side caps. I don't trust myself to remember which is which, Epsilon or Kappa, but it is Epsilon. So, what are we looking at here? 300 tons works out to 60 tons a player. Now, what I've been seeing is a whole bunch of the summoners. Players are using summoners from what I've been observing. And it's basically just been a brawl. Or one team's bringing summoners and brawling, the other team is bringing, maybe a bit more of a range type setup, maybe Sun Spiders with UAC 2s or UAC 5. So
yeah, there's been a pretty good mix. EQ and 5JDX both brought mid-range laser vomit.
Okay.
And they kind of just, at least from what I recall, they kind of just ignored the cap. So fighting over here, this is a pretty big area when you're just essentially cutting this map in half. It's a pretty big area, and almost anything could work. I'd be a little concerned about if one team were to bring something like summoners or linebackers, something along those lines, and the other team was to bring just straight brawl stop.
Yeah.
UACs, ACs, even long range, mid-range laser bomb. I'd be a bit concerned for the Brawly team because there is quite a bit of range that can be had down here.
You can either put the range kiting out toward the edge of the map that nobody's ever gone to before, and then you can cover the cap, make a nice concave. There are giant rock pillars in various spots, but you can get the sight lines reasonably well, or you could even go high ground. I believe has some positive attributes to put a couple mechs up there. The problem is that if you do go with this high ground in the Fox 4, Fox 5 locations, kind of end up being all clustered together. So then once the brawlers are on top of you, they don't have to walk in between different targets when they're getting onto a kill chain. I've seen teams
if you are up there, it is a bit more dangerous to receive a push because they have quite a bit of cover coming up here through Fox 6.
Yeah.
Running right up on top of you.
Yeah. I've also seen teams go to Theta to get an early scout on their opponents and determine the opponent's composition and general direction of travel. Theta is not the active cap, but the scout was being valued more than the actual grabbing a cap. So if you get that intel by going to Theta, and then you know where you can route your brawlers, you can do some sneaky stuff coming in, odd flanks, different ramp directions that maybe the range we're not anticipating. Or you can know that you need to set up, not in the trade positions that you were thinking you might do if their opponents brought range, but instead setting up for that open ground receive style around the cap.
It definitely helps. Looks like we have 2 locked teams.
All right, let's get in on this. 295 on both teams, so they are 5 tons under the limit. Not a big deal.
Yeah, that is pretty big help. If you can get something like a Viper or Mistlink, some sort of jumpy, fast, scouty thing, even just up top on the ramp on your side of the map. From there, you can jump jet up and figure out a whole bunch of stuff. Are they setting up? Are they setting up over on the platforms over here? Are they nowhere to be seen, meaning they're heading straight south in the map? A whole bunch of info that can be gathered that essentially can make or break a game and completely decide your movement based off just that one scouting jump.
Yeah. All right, I'm looking at Gatto's team, and we've got a Mislinks with heavy machine gun, micropulse, linebacker, SRM, and heavy small lasers. One of those, one with just pure SRM, another small pulse here, micro SRM linebacker, and to round that up, they do have the Hero Orion 2C Skull with 2 ERPPC and 1 LBX-20. So they're not actually using the set of 8 on that mech. It's just a mask-capable Orion 2C with a mix of range and big burst at close range.
Over here with Clutch, we have, let's see, a red laser Black Lantern, a red laser Black Lantern, also a skull with quad large pulse, another red laser Black Lantern, and another red laser Black Lantern.
So each team has, one range-ish mech and a whole bunch of brawlers, and we do have a team moving toward Theta. It's not because they don't know what the active cap is, it's just they're routing for the high ground. So the 4 large pulse probably beats out the 2 ERPC LBX-20 if they do decide to try and do range, and one team did bring a light mech instead of going with a 4 set of mediums. They instead went with 3 linebackers, 1 mislinks instead of the 4 black lanterns. Now, looks like we're just going to get a push here. I mean, I don't no, there's some hesitation. They are determining, well, what are they doing? They're not trying to play this range. The Orion's running to the low ground. They're splitting up the Black Lanterns. They are getting pushed now. Clutch is... Legal's running through the opposing team, taking a lot of damage here. I don't get this rotation. Somebody's going to have to explain it to me.
I'm not sure why Clutch would do that, run around like that. Just like in quick play, they're rotating away, leaving a couple of their slower guys behind.
Yeah, it's a NASCAR.
They're NASCARing.
This is a NASCAR, and neither team has caught the tail. Okay, now it's a turnaround. Gatto's team turned around on the NASCAR, getting that 5v3 engagement through a choke point. They've legged the Orion out of that. Yeah, they just punished NASCAR with a reversal here, and now we're into a brawl stage. Nobody is a standout damage here on either team of the remaining mechs. There is Mislinks maybe be getting focused. It is legged. Fork the Spoon Wrecker is legged in their Mislinks. Should be going down. There we go. And we have a legged Black Lantern. Gas Guzzler should be going down as well. There we have the kill. There's a linebacker that's legged 70%. Gadolinium just needs a stiff breeze to take that leg off, but there's hardly anyone left on the side of Clutch to get that kill. Can Redneck Geek push through and get the kill on the linebacker? That's 2 points if they can do it. They are diving, they're legged themselves, and they do not get the kill. Wow.
That was something.
I need somebody to explain what just happened.
I've never actually seen a full-blown true blue NASCAR in comp.
I've seen it before, but before it's made sense to me. there's no catching a tail when these teams have basically the same speeds. I don't get this. Either way,
That was a bit odd.
Gatto's team, they pick up the win, and it's because they turned around and countered the push, the NASCAR push at this choke point. Well done.
That was interesting. with the NASCAR, Gatto's team turning around, and then it seemed like once they turned around, Clutch didn't quite know what to do. There wasn't a whole lot of focus fire I was seeing from the guys that were essentially got turned on from Clutch. There wasn't a whole lot of focus fire when that brawl broke out. They were all just kind of shooting. Seemed like they were all just shooting their own targets, whereas
Yeah.
Gatto's team was focusing fire. They were directing it at the same mech.
I don't know if that was an intentional bait to take, Clutch's pilots into a choke point from Gatto's team there, but they did pick up that Orion 2C Skull Hero as their primary target in that choke point. That mech is doing very little damage. The rest of the damage relatively even between both teams, both players. No significant outlier. Interesting strategy. Yes, we are switching sides, which means I need to switch the overlay. And there we have it. And I need to put the points in from the last drop. What am I doing here? So Clutch gets a single point because they picked up one kill there. If they had picked up another kill, they would have been awarded 3 points. So unfortunately, they did not get a second kill. Clutch, I've got them at 15 points total after the first 3 drops are done here. And on the opposing side, Gatto's Galactophoria's Galacta somethings.
Gatto's
Galactophorus. Galactophagus.
Galactophagus?
Galactophagus or Galacto... I don't know. Yeah, I've got them at 28 points, though. Still a lot of points on the board here. 2 more drops to go. And, could turn around, but currently, after the strong performance in the early 1v1, 2v2 duels, Gatto's team is holding a bit of a lead here.
I'm not sure at this point that... How many points did you say Gatto's team has?
I've got it marked down as 28.
So I don't believe at this point... Let's see.
There's still another potential 28 points that they could be grabbing out of this match.
I don't believe that Clutch can actually overtake Gatto's team in the standings at this point.
No, there was a bit of a gap between the two teams to start off. 35-point gap, I believe, if my quick math works.
Yeah, it's pretty sizable gap between them, and I think... I don't think that, with Gatto having 20-something points there, I don't think Clutch can overtake them to pull themselves out of last place here.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a decent showing. I think this is their first time playing in Division A. They are sitting at the bottom of the division, but they have picked up a fair number of points in the matches that they have played. Okay, we're going to River City. Do we want to pull up a map strat on that? Looks like we might have a little bit of time.
I think we have a little bit, yeah. Team 1's not readied up yet.
I can't quite monitor it overly well, so I'm hoping that I don't make the teams wait. So we're playing around Theta Cap on this map. Down in the center. Is that a color people can see? I'm not entirely sure. Let's try this color. The Theta Cap is down in the box in the center of the field, middle of the map. Everybody knows where it is. They've played Quick Play before. So we've got an airport versus High City as one of the potential trade versus trade or set up to receive with a push either across the bridge or through the water into the rock garden, or maybe around the citadel coming up wide on the airport, going through the city for cover. Those are all very good push options here. We're up to 400 tons on this drop, so we're going to be seeing a lot of assault mechs and potentially mixed with some heavy mechs as well. 400 tons divided by 5 players, it's average of 80 tons a player. So, we should be seeing assault mechs unless if a team wants to drop significantly under tonnage. And I don't know, airport's a really strong trade position. High city's a really strong trade position, but I've also seen the pushes work. If you take just a little bit more speed and you get through that water without taking significant damage, and you can take apart a ranged team. We could see other things. Teams could spread out and not go for high city versus airport. They could be playing around the citadel, or spreading out a wider firing line that can observe theta from either the docks or the low city near the airport. I expect that they're going to go for more of a, I don't know, do you see trade out of these two teams, or are these teams going to be a little bit more aggressive than that?
I think it's possible. I think long range trade would be a bit of a gamble, because the ranges that you trade from here and the positions you can be in a 5v5, they favor mid-range vomit in certain cases. I think for sure long range trade could work if both teams bring it. It could work if one team runs brawl and the other one runs long range trade. It's just a bit of a gamble, so it kind of depends on how confident they're feeling.
Yeah.
To that their enemy is not going to bring something that's just a direct counter.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a bit of a rock paper scissors scenario where the mid-range DACA type stuff beats out on the push, but the push loses to, or like that mid-range DACA type stuff loses out to like a Goss trader. There's a rock position near the airport where you can park a direwolf with Goss or something of that nature, whereas that mid-range DACA doesn't do so well in a trade situation. So be interesting to see what the teams do here as we're getting to this drop.
Launch.
What was the tonnage on the second team? I saw the first team was hovering at like 395, I think.
I believe it was 400. I think they took the full 400 ton.
So we're not going to see a low tonnage rush here or something of that nature. I've seen teams attempt it. I've seen it sometimes succeed. Alright, I'm looking at Clutch in the blue. We've got, let's get the build here, Blood Asp with 5 large pulse, one of those, one with 4 large pulse and micro pulse, and then another with 5 large pulse. So that is a mid-range push, but not to push into brawl. And they've paired that up with an Incubus with light machine gun, heavy large, ER Meads. So not quite the standard build that has... Incubus 5 has a capping quirk, right?
I believe so. I think that's the one that has the quirk. And
the 5th mech is an Executioner, 2 ER PPCs, small pulse, ER micro. They're putting it up high in a trade position, but that's probably just to get a scout, because those 2 ER PPCs is not that significant of a range overwatch for that position that they're putting it in. Shadowcat on Gatto's team, ER large, ER Mead. We've got linebacker, large pulse, ER Mead, Executioner with 4 ER large and red laser backup, 2 of those, and then a direwolf. So they did bring definitely more trade with 2 Goss, 4 ER large on that direwolf. Shadowcat's taking a flank position in Citadel, taking a fair bit of damage to that side torso though. Fork the Spoonwrecker's going to need to be a little bit more careful.
They are on the clock now. Gatto's team is. Looks like Clutch took the cap there, so now that it's looking like it is going to be a trade game, they are on a clock to win the trades.
Yeah. So the Incubus Gambit worked out so far. But these Blood Asp, I don't know if they're actually in optimal range for trading against those ER large Executioners, or that, which have a lot of mobility, can get a flank angle, or even that Goss ER large Direwolf might have locations that are outside of the range of these large pulse lasers.
Fork and the Shadowcat looking kind of messed up already. Orange armor, right torso, open in the rear.
Yeah, the Shadowcat's got to be a little more careful. Direwolf just got into position, got a decent trade-off, but took 6% in return. Keep an eye on that, see if they are able to win their trades or not. That's going to be very decisive. If that Direwolf is able to outtrade the Blood Asp, then the Blood Asp are going to have to make some sort of a different move here.
I am somewhat partial to Gatto's team's positioning here. If you see, they're spread out across the map, running almost all the way from Theta to Epsi, getting as many overlapping firing lines as they can, whereas Clutch, accepting this one Incubus running off to presumably get a flank, they're all just stuck up here in the airport, it looks like. Looks like they're kind of starting to move now a little bit to get a few more firing angles.
Yeah.
But they're still leaving 3 of their guys back here, the 3 of which are just facing a concave.
The Executioners have a lot more mobility to get those flank angles, and I mean, one Executioner out of Clutch is not really making a different angle than what their current teammates are in terms of that trade. Maybe they could put it a little bit more with the Incubus, try and work a side flank, maybe pressure the Shadowcat that's already taken a lot of damage, open side torso on Fork the Spoonwrecker, also open head. I don't remember how much armor they started with there though.
Apostle Burke has taken back Theta, given them a little bit of wiggle room there. He's not going to be able to take it, it doesn't look like. This Incubus is denying it.
Okay, got the decap.
But he has stopped the clock, per se.
That linebacker is so fat, there's no way it should be able to get that. I guess nobody was looking at the precise instant they went for it. Well done for Apostle Burke, buying a lot of time for their team. Caps are at 99, but there's still just under 7 minutes remaining. So no pressure yet. That Direwolf is looking quite healthy at this moment. I don't know if they've been putting out the damage though. Both teams, nobody's really critically wounded, besides perhaps that Shadowcat. Looks like the
trades
Incubus
percentage-wise look pretty even for the most part.
Yeah, basically every mech I'm looking at is good damage spread. Now, Gauss Peeps is getting caught out in the open here a little bit. 61% open side torso on their Blood Asp. I think that's heat damage as the leg is damaged. There's no mask on the Blood Asp, so 5 large pulse laser is a relatively hot build. You do have to manage that heat carefully. This scratch damage fight is just going to favor the Gatto's team, and they have actually flipped the cap here. Probably Apostle Burke ran in while I wasn't looking. Taking some damage, but nothing meaningful. The caps are now taking in the favor of the team that has the range trading advantage here. So Clutch is going to have to figure something out, and probably can't take too long doing that. Gauss Peeps is no longer trading, taking
Looks like
significant damage.
MechWarrior 414, he seems to be, I believe, losing trades here. He was trading against Photon and Colonel David Renard, both of them at the same time, which has caused him to be open side torso. But it looks like David Renard bailed first out of there, and then Photon's following up behind.
Oh yeah, 59% on that Executioner. Is anything missing? No, just side torso open, center torso open, but undamaged structure. Shadowcat still has that open side torso. So the percentages are going down on both teams. We have a movement here. Blood Asp is joining the Incubus on a flank angle here, trying to pressure the Shadowcat. And Shadowcat is being buddied up with the linebacker there, trying to hold Theta from behind the Citadel.
I don't think they see Colonel David Renard coming in above them there.
Yeah, somebody's got to be communicating that that Blood Asp is missing.
Oh, there they go. They must have spotted him. They are dipping out of there. Though I'm not entirely certain that's the move I would make. The Blood Asp has, all of them have mid-bomb, essentially, and so I think they could have taken this Blood Asp had they kind of poked it there a little bit.
Yeah, cap point well defended on the side of Gatto's team here. They have lost a fair bit of percentages, and that Incubus, last I looked, 58%. I didn't see any critical damage on it, but that's not a very high percentage. So going for the cap is going to be risky. Cap points are about to take over. They're getting close to evening up. Slow push is it still moving? I mean, I know they're slow, but looks like they've kind of stalled a little bit, gathered their entire force before making any further advancement.
I don't think they know what to do. They've lost the cap. They're here and right now they're ticking over to lose the cap points. And Gatto's team they're in the favorable trade. They have the high ground. They have this lower city down here. Clutch is just kind of stuck in an area over here where there's just not a whole lot of firing lanes.
They've made a rotation to try and close the range, but they need to keep moving, and they're going to have to cross through the open in order to get to low city, where they might be able to close that gap without being in the open. So they're making a play, but they're not continuing with it. I don't think that stalling here and trading has really closed the range enough for that LPL versus ER large range gap to no longer matter. There we go. Side torso is off of Gas Guzzler. They are down. Oh, they lost both their ER PPCs in that side torso. They're down to 4 small pulse. That mech is no longer useful. Goss Peeps open both side torsos. David Renard still has armor, but at 61%. So this is looking very advantageous for Gatto's team. Direwolf is standing out in the open on the bridge, just flexing its range advantage. Nothing meaningful in the damage that they've received yet, as they're getting hit by a strike.
Redneck Geek about to come up on Apostle Burke. Redneck Geek's been on this Zimbabwe flank, and I think he might be able to get Apostle here if he just continues his push, but looks like he's not going to.
Also, Burke open side torso, but they are running back toward their team, so without the proper intel, Redneck Geek doesn't know exactly where everyone is. Probably teams down, you got to make a play. Like cap points are at 170 to 100 with like 2.5 minutes remaining here, so there's not much time left. There has to be a play made here, but that would have been a risky play to go for. But somebody's got to do something.
It looks like both teams' speedier mechs. They're doing their own Zimbabwe flanks. Fork is over here near Kappa, looking to get some shots on this ball of Clutch.
Yeah, we have a push in the water. The 3 Blood Asps are just running out in the open, trying to put damage out. High risk move here. Goss Peeps has been halved. They've gone down. David Renard is making it to the cap. Execution been picked off from behind by the Shadow Cat, I believe. And David Renard is on the cap. There's no way they're going to get it. There's a linebacker shooting them in the back, and a
actually coming up behind.
Maybe they can pick up the kill here on the linebacker. Does not look like it. And so we've got an Incubus at 30-some%. Still has both its legs. What is wrong with it? It's open everywhere, but still has guns, and it's up against an Executioner that is open center torso. Executioner picks up the kill. Last mech standing is Photon, open side torso, open center torso, and about to get ganked from behind. If they had a UAV, they'd be able to turn around and get a kill here, but no, they were... Backshot does not take it. So one more shot here out of that Blood Asp, which has been halved. Can they pick up a kill? No. So this is another 5-0 victory in the favor of Gatto's team. No kills returned. A lot of wounded mechs on the side of Gatto's team. Clutch just was not able to pick up the kill on any of those.
So with them winning, with Gatto's team winning that will put them above Dark Sea Corsairs, who's the current 4th place. That will put them above that, but with them having lost the drop on Crimson, they won't be able to match Empyrean for 3rd place. they would have needed to take every single point, get the full 70 to be able to catch up to Empyreon. But they do overtake DSC.
Yeah, there's still a little bit more, a few more weeks to play here. Is my scoreboard updating? Another try here. There we go, 42 points to 15. So Clutch is not picking up very many points in terms of even kills here in the 5v5 portion so far. One more drop to go.
And I do believe with that win, because next week Gatto's team is facing off against DSC. So I think with that win, with them overtaking DSC here, that will cement them as being above DSC and above Clutch. So then I guess what that poses the question at that point of essentially who comes in last place. Is it DSC or Clutch? Whether Clutch can take some games off of 5 JDX.
And that Darksea Corsairs versus Empyreon match has a very low point total. I believe that's because there was not a match score registered for one of the drops, which I don't know if they're planning to replay it. I've seen an indication that they might. It's possible Darksea Corsair could pick up a few more points and move above that 115. But yeah, actually it's Darksea Corsairs versus Gatto's Galactophorius Galactophagus playing next week. So they've got the head-to-head there in order to decide their placement. So destiny is in their hands at this point. It looks like it will be. That could be a very good match to watch next week if somebody manages to cast it. I've got the damage up on screen. We have a few minutes. I'm going to run through it. Top damage out of Gatto's Galactophorius team is the Mech Warrior player with 750 out of that 4 ER large laser executioner. Gadolinium themselves has 600 damage out of the same build. Embarrassing in the Direwolf puts up a non-embarrassing 700 damage out of that Gauss ER large Direwolf. Osselberg in the linebacker, very heavily wounded at the end, but they did manage to do stuff around the cap point, put up 450 damage. Lowest damage out of that Shadowcat, took a little bit of early damage, and then I guess had to play more careful, keep themselves alive. On the opposing side, we've got Photon leading the way, 560 damage, Gauss Peeps at 530, right there with them. Those are the large pulse laser Blood Asp. There was some build variants, I don't remember who had what. The third one coming up with only 250 damage. And Redneck Geek and Incubus putting up almost 400 damage, and they managed to sneak an early cap, just their team was not able to hold that cap, and ultimately were losing trades as well, so didn't get the win. Executioner with the ERPPCs, a little bit of a lower damage total. They weren't favored in terms of weaponry with just 2 ERPPCs against what they were facing off against, but if they had used their mobility more to get an alternate angle, perhaps they would have been able to get more favorable trades. That's the sense that I had while I was watching it. Not a mech that I'm familiar with or play, so I have to defer to others on that, but I feel it was maybe a little bit underutilized in terms of its mobility.
Just a bit, yeah, I agree with you there.
So we are going to Alpine Peaks 500-ton drop tonnage limit, which is also known as unlimited. There are no mechs in MechWarrior Online currently that have more than 100 tons utilized. So what are you expecting to see here? I know I've watched a little bit where, well, you know, it's been a standoff trading situation, and there haven't necessarily been all the kills collected for either team, which is very disappointing to me personally, having been involved in one of those sad drops where only a single mech died. So maybe we'll see something a little bit more aggressive out of these teams in an attempt to actually get some points. Maybe they will be making a push instead of just sitting back behind a hill.
It could be. I'm seeing Team 1 Clutch just locked in at 435, which what that kind of indicates to me is I'm expecting to see some Xy's or something like that, Executioners, Direwolves, and then something light, possibly.
Yeah, I've also seen LRM strategies on this map in this drop, and what they were doing was they were running mediums with narcs, which that lower 435 tons. Maybe we see a Shadow Cat with a narc here, or something of that nature. Um,
It could be. It could be something along those lines. I think if Clutch has already used some Xy's, so
yeah,
come to think of it, it couldn't be 4Xy's. It couldn't be something like 4Xy's and a Black Lantern. That would equal to 435 tons. So I'm expecting maybe a mix of Direwolves, Executioners. Team 1 does have, at least in my opinion, somewhat of the advantageous position in that they have longer sight lines looking down towards Gamma than Team 2 does. Team 2, to get the sight lines down, you have to climb up on top of that hill, or the two different mountains, the Quick Play Mountain in the center, and then I believe it's Hotel 12, Hotel 13, where to be able to shoot down. Whereas Team 1 is able to run range up to Echo 11, Echo 10, somewhere in there, and be able to get some firing lines.
yeah.
In addition to that, they have these essentially giant walls of Gulf 9 and Fox 10, the big mountain there, that allows them to get up to it quick with any sort of Pop-Tarts and just be able to shoot down.
Yeah, the Team 2 has the advantage of the Hotel 11, Hotel 12 hill, which are excellent trade positions. If you're getting pushed, you have ample warning as well, although there are push paths through the Fox 12, Fox 13. But I've seen LRMs played on this map. I don't think I've seen LRM succeed yet. So I don't know. Who would want to be known as the team that brought LRMs in Division A? And
Oh, that would be great. I mean, we've seen it before. I've seen it before. I can't remember which team it was, but it was on Canyon, and I've seen Bowser running. I want to say it was the LRM Ebenjag, maybe.
yeah,
So LRMs have been in Div A successfully, actually.
I don't know. I'm hesitant to predict that. I'm going to note that I previously casted a clutch match where they brought an ice ferret while they were running low tonnage on a drop, and they were like doing ridiculous flank paths to try and get a back shot with that ice ferret on their opponents. Ice ferret being Clutch's totem mech from Quick Play.
I remember that map. I remember watching that one.
Yeah, that was a wild one to observe.
We are sending it. It looks like Clutch came in at 435, and Gatto's team came in, if I recall correctly, at 415.
415 to 435. That is significantly below 500. So we'll see what they're doing. I'm going to go look at Gatto's team here in the red first. Looking at the Hellfire Void as Goss, 2 ER large and 3 ER Mead. Has Mask, very fast mech. There's a Spirit Bear with, see if we can, Spirit Bear LBX-20, ERPPC, SRM-6, so that is a masking, pushing, brawling mech. We've got a Linebacker with large pulse ER Mead, Executioner with 4 ER large, ER micro, 2 of those, so that looks to me relatively aggressive and like they're going to do a push. Now getting over to look at Clutch here. Direwolves with 5 ER large, 2 Goss. Direwolf with 4 ER large, 2 Goss, so a little bit of build variance, but both of those are going to be camping somewhere. Executioner is getting a climb up over here to get a overwatch of the cap, maybe an early scout with 4 ER large. There's a mech going for the cap, the Shadow Cat here with single AC2, 2 ER large. What is that build? I've never seen that before. And finally, one more Executioner. This is 3 ER PPC, 7 ER micro, and they are looking to ascend the hill. What is a Shadow Cat build? Do you know anything about that?
I got nothing. My only thought is that AC2 is there to maybe deny cap, just to have something that can keep firing so you don't have to wait on the ER large to cool down.
Does it have a
That's
quirk?
not that I'm aware of, but I guess it could potentially.
Like, I don't
I
understand.
can't imagine that I just can't imagine that it would actually have any sort of offensive function that you would ever want to run on this
They
thing.
have 380 rounds for it, so maybe it's got an ammo quirk? I don't know how you get the tonnage for that. I don't know. Was there even ECM on the Shadowcat? No, there's not. They have an AC2 instead of taking ECM or anything. I mean, I've seen 3 ER large on a Shadowcat before, so it's not even that you don't have another ranged weapon option. I don't know what that is.
It has to be for cap deny, for being able just to keep shooting it at the enemy, taking the cap, not waiting for the ER large to cool down. Essentially just being able to hold down the cap all on your own.
Yeah. I don't know. I want an explanation. They owe me an explanation after bringing that. We have a push here. The linebacker, Hellfire with that mask, and the Kodiak with the mask are running into the open, taking a lot of damage there. Apostle Burke has an open side torso, but they've made it 3/4 away, and the Hellfire's turning back.
Oh, this is not good. Apostle is just going in, yeeting himself. It's him now versus 2 dire wolves and an Exy.
I don't know what the strat here was from Gatto's team. They seem a little bit confused as to what they're facing, but that's a relatively standard setup that we're seeing out of Clutch here for their ranged traders.
It does look like they're winning the trades against Colonel David Rennard here.
Yeah, a lot of damage on the Direwolf. Open CT, about to go down more than likely. There we go. Gas Guzzler, also significant damage. Open center torso. The Kodiak is amongst them. And that Kodiak is at 50%, but still has all of its weaponry. Fork the Spoonwrecker going in there to mess somebody up. Lost the side torso. Still continuing to fight. And looks like Photon with the ERPC Executioner, the DPS is sustained DPS won't be as high. They've taken a lot of heat damage, 59%, and the push is continuing. Linebacker Apostle Burke lost his side torso, keeps on running. And
Embarrassing in this Exy is just out of the fight. He's just down there away from everyone. He has
wow.
Who is that, Gauss Peep behind him?
Yeah, this is Gauss Peeps not in the fight. Legaul's trying to get out now. How's the damage looking? No, the Hellfire is relatively healthy. Executioner as well. Also, Burke is, nothing's open on what's left of their mech. Embarrassing has their legs at 64%, so looks like the Shadowcat got caught and dead. This Executioner from Gauss Peeps is going to have a very hard time picking up a kill on anyone here. Yeah, this is looking. I don't know. I guess that push worked.
That honestly, I wasn't expecting that. They were in a pretty bad position on their approach. Apostle Burke just yeeting himself in there, taking a whole bunch of damage. The other couple, the Void and the Kodiak, they were far behind him. They had Gauss Peeps over here on this hill for at least a little bit, shooting down on him. So I'm kind of impressed they were able to pull that off.
Yeah. Was this something that maybe they scrimmed extensively to learn that it actually works? Because on paper it looks awful. But these direwolves, they retreated in a direction where that Executioner was unable to support. We've got Photon's Executioner in the low ground position where they would have been completely unsupported by their team. And I guess they just didn't have the DPS to put down their opponents. I thought that push was in the wide open. Would have been very easy to take apart those 3 mechs, but Gatto's Galactophorius Galactophagus proved me wrong.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is when they were on that approach, I think Gauss Peeps thought that he was getting pushed when he was over here on this hill, when he wasn't. And so I think if Gauss Peeps would have stayed up on that hill, continued firing down on the linebacker, the Hellfire, and the Kodiak, I think he would have been able to, if not stop their push, at least damage them enough on the approach that it could have gone bad. But he backed off, he dropped down, and then it just took him too long to get back up into a firing lane to be able to actually do anything.
Yeah, we're waiting for the cap points to take out, and while that's happening, There's some friendly fire going on. Gotta be a little bit careful with your friendly fire. Any dead mech is going to count towards your opponent's victory conditions, but I guess it's a little bit boring just walking around on this map, taking a hike over some mountains that I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity in quick play to find out whether or not the linebacker can run up and down the side of a mountain. There we go. It's happened.
Well, they don't have to.
They're
They don't
not-
have to care
Yeah.
at this point. With
Kappa
I
is
did
under
do
enemy
the math, and at this point, now that they've won this one, even if DSC were to win the missing drop against Imperion, Gatos would overtake them by 4 points, I believe it is. 3 or 4 points
Yeah.
with this extra 14 points. So
The other thing is this executioner coming down that mountain took some leg damage. It'd be interesting if in a rush to try and end this match a little bit faster, somebody took leg damage and died, or overmasked and died, or something of that nature. But yeah, the writing's on the wall. We just have to wait for the cap points to take over. For anyone wondering, math is hard. Computers aren't very good at doing math, apparently.
that was a pretty big boy push there, yeeting in a spirit bear of all things to be the damage sponge.
Yeah, and the linebacker was the primary point there, tanking. So, 65 tons. The thing about the linebacker is that you want to shoot legs on it instead of torso, generally speaking, back in the day, because it rolls damage fairly well. But I guess on that slope, maybe the legs were not exposed. The match ends. Finally, results were known for a while, but now we have official confirmation that Gatto's team did end up getting enough cap points there. How many kills were
And
returned?
Gatto once again coming in with the big farm damage at 641 in his Xe. I'd be curious to see Apostle and Fork's damage taken number.
Yeah, I've got that. Well, actually, I've only got a percentage here, but yeah, that doesn't really tell us the number, the amount of damage taken, unfortunately. And because of the team damage aspect, we don't really. I mean, it doesn't get added to their damage, so that doesn't change it, but it does change their match score. I mean, we've got 464 damage out of Mech Warrior 414712 in the Hellfire Void, and that wasn't in the main fight. That was afterwards, killing their teammates. So a nice good amount of team damage there in that drop, but it shouldn't count in for anything.
Yeah, it wasn't a clean sweep for Gatto's team, but it was very close there too. If I recall correctly, they lost just the Crimson drop.
Yeah, I've got the points up on the screen. I hope they are refreshed. 56 points for Gatto's team and 18 points for Clutch. So a fairly decisive win there for Gatto's team. Yeah, clean sweep except for the Crimson Straight, where everything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong for reasons I don't understand. Very decisive, strong showing here from Gatto's Galactophorus, or Galactophagist, and they're going up against Darksea Corsairs. So they had 89 coming in. They've added that 56 to their 89, putting them up to, hold on, do I have to math this? 145 points, which puts them behind Imperion, but ahead of Darksea Corsairs going into the next week match against the Darksea Corsairs. So that could be a very interesting match there. Probably will decide fourth place. Could end up mattering for determining third place, potentially, depending on all kinds of other match results. So, strong showing.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, if they do really well against DSC next week and Empyrean were to get their teeth kicked in by EQ, Gatto could shoot up above Empyrean and come in at third.
It's entirely possible. Again, there's one more match there that the match result was missing. I saw that there might be a replay, maybe, from the Empyrean Darksea Corsairs, so either of those teams could get a few more points than what they currently have. It's very important to get those match score, match ID numbers for any team out there. Casters aren't always going to be around to do it for you. But that's it for me. That's it for this cast. I think we've covered everything. This is Therax doing the cast. Joining me was Giggity Giggity Goo as the co-caster.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for running the lobby for me, just taking a little bit of that workload away so that I don't have any lobby casts, I sure hope. Thanks for the teams for allowing us to cast their match. Scheduling us with a non-default time came in very handy here, as I unfortunately was playing default time this week. We're very thankful to have a match here that we could cast. And thank you viewers for showing up, supporting the teams, and supporting the MechWarrior Online competitive. That's it. I'm going to cut the stream, I think. Right? Right?
I believe so.